So today we're going to be transitioning from making slabs to cutting them into the shapes of the houses that we drew, or the buildings that we drew last week. So you guys already learned how to make slabs, or we're learning that today. And once we have our slab, we're going to transfer print. Now, to transfer print, we're just going to move our slab out of the way. We're going to take one of the Crayola markers that's from the clay room. Now, with these Crayola markers, these are only going to be from the clay room, and they stay in the clay room. We have specific buckets for them. They're never going to leave the clay room. Now, with these, we don't want you all to draw directly on the clay. That clogs the markers, and then they can't be used anymore. So we never draw directly on the clay. We only draw on our papers, which then gets printed onto the clay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our drawing, and we're going to draw the outer edge. So you'll notice that I kind of have already done this with my pink line, but I'm going to redo this just for this demo's sake. Now, when I'm doing this, I'm really only getting that outer line. I'm not focusing on the details because we're going to flip the slab over so that it's facing the correct way. Okay, so once I've got my outer line drawn on there, I'm going to take my slab, and then I'm going to turn my drawing over, and I'm going to make sure it's all on the clay, and then I'm going to place it down and rub on it. Now, I'm not pressing hard enough that I squish the clay or make the clay deformed. I'm just pressing hard enough that it is rubbing that marker into the clay. Now, when I take my paper off, you'll notice that I have that transfer print right on there. Now, I'm going to take what we call a fettling knife, and I'm going to cut along that edge. So I'm going to cut, and it's okay if I come all the way off, because then I can cut this piece off, and now that's out of the way, right? So I'm going to keep going. So I'm going to get all of these. Just get that out of the way. Get this one. This one. And it's okay if something like this happens, where you cut a little bit into it. You'll just take the knife or your finger, and you'll smudge it over, and now that line is erased. So don't worry if you make little mistakes like that. That's no big deal. And then I'm going to cut this one. Just making sure I get all of these lines as close as possible to what they look like in my drawing. All right, so I'm almost at the end. I didn't forget about that one, don't worry. And then I cut the last one, and then I can take all of these pieces off, and then I'm just going to squish these up into a little lump of clay. Now, you might be thinking, but Mr. Velikan, now the drawing is backwards. What we're going to do is we're going to flip it, and now it should match the drawing. So I've got, let me zoom out here. Oh, if I can. I can't. Okay. So I've got a house now that matches my initial drawing. Now we want everybody to finish this by the end of today so that we can then add textures and add all of our details onto it in the following days. Now make sure when you're doing this that you're paying close attention to any air bubbles that could be in your slab. Make sure you're wedging it enough, and then be careful not to bend up your slab or anything like that. Just try to keep it flat. Make sure you wrap this up with your board bag and rag so that everything stays wet overnight so that we can work on it the rest of the week.